Hello, Donna here. Welcome to my channel, Speaking to Solutions to Transcend Trauma. And this little spotted thing right here is my dog Gobi, who is my little support dog here, emotional support dog. He definitely gives me that. So uh, I'm sliding on here a little, like I don't extremely have my message, but I sort of do. I want to talk about sometimes when I share things that happen in my life, I do it because when I listen to a lot of the psychology behind things, like about flying monkeys and that, and, um, just even about the narcissistic behavior to like overlay it on top of a human being who is very nuanced. It's, sometimes hard to make that connection. And it helps when, like it took me years of listening to these behaviors to finally be like, oh my gosh, that is what's happening, like the future faking and, the flying monkeys and all of the terms thrown around, regarding narcissistic abuse and which includes betrayal trauma and things like that. So I guess I kind of have a lot to say, but like overlaying this terminology on top of a nuanced human being, we can be like, no, that's not them, because it's like all the psychology and the traits and that are very rigid, when we look at them just cold, as just a pulled out singular trait. Well, and if it's a singular trait, it's usually not narcissism or that. But when we're looking at uh, patterns of behavior, traits that this person is showing us over and over and over again, that they behave this way, with the entitlement and the grandiosity and the lack of empathy and all of these things. So, gosh, yeah, so many things flooding in. But like first of all, I was like thinking about the flying monkeys and you know how much devastation they can cause, the enablers. I've been one before, until I brought in awareness. It's an unconscious behavior even on their part. I think, everything always comes to like this safety. Even the narcissist is creating these very toxic and abusive behaviors, not justifying them, but using these behaviors to cope with feelings of, you know, inside, they wear that grandiose mask that is covering up a lot of insecurity inside. Well, they say narcissism is created two ways, either through like extreme abuse where they have that really low sense of self, or just really programmed from the get go by parents that did a lot of entitlement. So they just always felt like they were the best, they were entitled, and, which births lack of empathy for others and, all of those really toxic traits. So there kind of is two ways, two paths that this can be birthed. I mean, I tend to think even to the first one, the abuse, and that, creates that really internal shame, because someone that I know definitely is on the narcissism spectrum. She admitted she's very jealous. I've seen that, very jealous of people, but she also thinks everyone's jealous of her, because things always run both ways. That's what she sees and that's what she projects. But I think that also just like being really entitled is also really not being seen by their parents as a real human being with, like, ironically, to have flaws makes you human, and it allows you to, being able to have your parents see you as someone that can have flaws, that does make mistakes, speaks to your humanity and allows you to be human so that you don't have to wear this, that grandiose shell of perfectionism, that is just unrealistic. That's why they need so much supply, because you can't really ever live up to that grandiose shell, because it's a delusion, it's not reality. So, yeah, I was thinking about some of the flying monkeys with my relationship with the narcissist, and how he would, say negative things about me naturally. That's what narcissists do. They complain about you to everyone, that's part of their triangulation, and the things that he focused on very much were about physical appearance. And I was not fit enough and I didn't have white enough teeth. Those, look at my teeth. So it was, and the thing is, ironically, one of the flying monkeys that he would complain to, about me, was, later found out one of his affair partners, because he was betraying me. I want to talk about that too, about informed consent and kind of around that Andrew Huberman thing again, but anyone that doesn't allow informed consent, So I, found out she was one of his affair partners and she really shamed me too. Yeah, he just wants you, in shape. Yet, by the way, I look back at those pictures, I was in pretty damn good shape. It's that sliding goalpost always, because it's their way of control. It's their way of minimizing you so they can feel better than you. She's not good enough. It's a way that they feed their grandiose mask. If I was in the best shape of the world, then it would be, I just focus on my shape. Why don't I give him more affection? It would always be something. It's just, do not kill yourself trying to meet those sliding goalposts. But ironically, this girl that was one of his flying monkeys, and there was a lot of them because he was charming and charismatic, but also he could be cutthroat. And flying monkeys are weak, just like the narcissists. They do not want to be the one that he is focusing that negative narrative onto, So they rather placate and feed his grandiosity. Oh, yeah, your girlfriend doesn't have white enough teeth and she isn't in hot enough shape for you, She's just not worthy, Ironically, that girl who I found out was having an affair with him was at least twice my size, So interesting, isn't that? Which just shows it was not about that, I mean, how ironic, right? Just ironic. So, yeah, about the betrayal and the informed consent, not having informed consent. There was a lot of, Andrew Huberman, I don't know if you know the story, he's a neuroscientist, has a really good YouTube channel that I have now unsubscribed to because I've lived through betrayal trauma and I just cannot support someone that feels okay doing that to people. So it came out that he was, leading on 5 different women, and people, oh, so he can date a lot of people. This was not dating a lot of people. The one partner he was creating embryos with, he was doing in vitro with, which he minimized and said, oh, we were just making embryos. I wasn't going to have a baby with her, which is just like a manipulative person because there's proof he was doing it. So he had to minimize why he was doing it. I mean, come on, why is he making embryos with this specific woman that he's been in a relationship with for 5 or 6 years, So there was no informed consent. He wasn't just dating. He wasn't telling these girls, I'm just dating you and I'm also dating others. This is called informed consent, when we let people know that, so I'm a little heated about it. This morning, someone told me, oh, come on, it goes both ways. It does not go both ways when there is betrayal there, when someone is telling you no, because that partner did that to me also. No, I literally dated this guy for 5 years. My intuition could feel that he was doing things behind my back. I worked nights. I didn't have, are you supposed to watch your partner all the time? That's not a healthy relationship either. I just had trust, So, and then if you don't have trust, then you're told you're paranoid and all this stuff. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, informed consent would be, hey, I said to him, I'm feeling like something's up. I'm getting like messages from people. I'm feeling it internally. I'm feeling something's up. And 5-year committed relationship, talking about marriage and everything, sitting me down, holding my shoulders and looking straight in my eyes and saying, no, there is only you and only you. And this is what happened to these women too. Like they thought they were in a monogamous, meaning one-on-one committed relationship with this person. Like, no, it doesn't go both ways when there's not informed consent. It goes both ways when that person says, yes, I'm seeing someone else also. And then I get to make the informed consent and say, do I want to share my partner with someone else? I don't. I believe in monogamy. I don't want to. Like, if you're okay doing with that, that's okay. But, there should be informed consent around that. And it doesn't even matter if I think it's okay or not. You do you, boo. I do me. I want monogamy. I want a committed partner. I think it's disgusting to think of my partner being sexual with someone else. It doesn't feel good for me. So no, like it does not go both ways when there is not informed consent. Did he tell these women that, did my ex tell me, yeah, no, I'm sleeping with a bunch of other women and I'm complaining about you to them and telling them that, I'm seeking relationship outside of it because, her teeth aren't wide enough and her body's not hot enough. Although he did tell me that part in front of my face that I'm just simply not good enough, so, I mean, no, like, so I always like to speak to solutions, like, it can be really hard when you're in a relationship with a pathological narcissistic type person and you've got flying monkeys all around, like making you feel shame about your being because they're placating to the narcissist because, either they don't want to get thrown under the bus or they're having an affair with him and they're believing his triangulation about you. So it can be really hard. I am not going to minimize how difficult that is, but see through it, see through it, see through it, see through it. They will definitely sow a bunch of seeds it out. But, can you look and say, oh, my teeth could be whiter or my body could be better, but that does not make me less valuable as a partner. I have so much more to bring to a relationship than how hot my body is and how white my teeth are, a lot more to bring to a relationship. So even just looking at that, like if that's what his standards and values are, like he needs the hottest body and the whitest teeth, then, like maybe we're just not a fit because I'm looking for more in a relationship than that, like it's a slippery slope, So, yeah, do you want to be fit? Sure. I'd like to be fit and have white teeth, but it's where you put it on the spectrum of how much it matters, and so just seeing that. And then when you're feeling crappy about the way your partner is treating you and people are validating him and his crappy behavior, please do not internalize that. Oh, but all these people are seeing it their way. Yeah, all these people in that circle with that narcissist, placating to his grandiosity, and most likely, like, she was having an affair. I found out so many of them in our friend circle were later I found out, having affairs with him. So, with a grain of salt, just do not internalize that stuff. So, yeah, it does not go both ways when you are not being given informed consent. If I had known at the time that I was in what I was being told was a committed relationship, that he was sleeping with all of our friends, I wouldn't have stayed, like I ended up finally extraditing myself from that relationship because there was just too much finally coming at me that I just could not deny the evidence, that there was something going on, even though he was still not providing informed consent, So just leading me on to believe that we were monogamous and it was just me and my insecurities, that were having, an issue with what I was actually intuitively picking up correctly on. So yeah, there's no such thing as it goes both ways when there is not informed consent. I guess that's what I really want to drive home today. And that, like what the flying monkeys have to say about the person they are placating to, that everyone's placating to. You know, don't just take that information with a grain of salt, you know. Learn from me and my experiences, you know. Don't internalize that stuff. All right, so I thought there was something else I wanted to touch on, but this is probably long enough. So just want to say, you know, trust you, trust your intuition. Sometimes we have to, you know, pull ourselves out and just start new friend groups that, you know, aren't so toxic and demeaning, and, you know, relationships. So that's what I wanted to say about equally yoked. Equally yoked doesn't mean equally attractive, equally, I don't know what, you know, just what equally yoked means, you know, the yoke was, it was when the cattle or the oxen was carrying a load. And so, you know, there was that wood across and they're equally yoked. Like there's not one weak oxen and one strong. That's not equally yoked. So that's what I wanted to say too about the weakness. The flying monkeys are weak people because they just placate because they're afraid of being thrown under the bus. They would rather project with the narcissist onto someone else than standing up and saying, hey, that's pretty mean. Why don't you look for the value in your partner instead of trying to pick apart flaws, you know? Like, I think your girlfriend's cool. You know, I think your girlfriend's this way or that way. Why don't you see, you know, the love she's giving you and the commitment and all of the good things? And, you know, she's not horribly ugly either, you know? I mean, my body didn't change from the day that he started dating me either, you know? So he found me attractive then, you know? What changed was him wanting to have more and more control over me. So, but think about that oxen and that equally yoked. It is about the emotional and the emotional maturity of the relationship. So the narcissist does not want to carry any of the weight. You know, they are actually the weak one in the yoke. And so are the flying monkeys because they're afraid of being thrown under the bus. They rather just, you know, placate to the narcissist and project onto you. You know, they're afraid of standing up because they don't want to be told that they're overweight or they have not white enough teeth or whatever other flaw the narcissist wants to pick apart. Because, you know, like they will idolize us in the beginning, and then when reality sets in, you know, then they can't idolize us anymore. We shouldn't be idolized anyways. I'm not anyone's God. Please don't idolize me ever. I do not want that position. I will fail. You know, that's the problem. And so will they. They're not perfect. They're not to be idolized. But they are the weak one because they can hold no emotional weight of the relationship, no emotional maturity. They are the weak oxen holding the yoke. It is not equally yoked. Go find someone that's stronger. Go find someone that doesn't pick apart your flaws because they fear intimacy, because they fear not being the idolized, grandiose version of themselves. They fear authenticity. They fear vulnerability. They fear truth. They fear messiness. They fear being a flawed human. They fear being human, you know? Yeah, that's not equally yoked. All right, go find yourself someone that's good. That's what I'm going to do in my life with all of my relationships. You know, the people that treat me, minimize me, that make me feel not good enough, that question my every move, nah, no thank you. You know, I don't want people to lie to me and say, oh yeah, you're in great shape when I'm not. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about someone that's able to see my value and to see my worth, you know, and not just hyper focus on perceived flaws. All right. So hope you do the same. All right. Peace out and go vegan.